Howdy folks, and welcome back to Mingles with Jingles. I hope you've all had a great weekend. Now forget it because it's Monday. And, well, it's been a pretty good week for me. I don't know what it's been like for you lot, but, well, as you can see, I've been back down to the Tank Museum at Bovington. This Saturday was Tiger Day. Not the first Tiger Day I've been to at the Tank Museum, and probably not going to be the last one either. Although, you've got to wonder, because the Tank Museum do have a fairly unique problem. And it's kind of like the problem I and other YouTubers have when they're focusing on a specific set of games and they're putting videos up of them. How do you make each video different? And how do you make each Tiger Day different? And how do you make each Tank Fest different? Because they've got some remarkable machines in the collection at Bovington. Tiger 131, of course. They've also got the only surviving T14 tank in the world, which you can see here in the Vehicle Conservation Centre. They've got the only surviving FV4202 prototype tank in the world. They've got the only A39 Tortoise. They've got all kinds of unique machines. But they're kind of limited in what they can actually restore, and not just when it comes to funds. I mean, the Tank Museum is doing pretty well. They're one of the few museums in the world that actually operates on a profit, and that's largely down to the way that they've managed to market and advertise themselves and make themselves accessible and well known. So well done to them for that. But their workshop facilities are kind of limited. They're actually opening a new workshop around the back of the Vehicle Conservation Centre next month. And that's going to be opened by the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. I've been invited down to attend the opening, so that's going to be awesome. There won't be any video of that. You can't bring video cameras in. But the difference between their existing workshop facilities and the new workshop facilities that they're opening is their existing workshop facilities are fine for doing maintenance on tanks, but they're not really ideal for doing restoration. I mean, they can do some restoration there. In fact, they've almost finished doing the restoration of the Matilda 2, and that's going to be rolling out next month, I believe on the 14th of May. It's due to be complete by then. But what they've got in these new workshop facilities are, well, facilities to restore tanks completely sealed away from the elements. They've got cranes in there so they can hoist the turrets off and get to the insides, pull the power packs out and replace engines and all that sort of thing. So they've got much better workshop facilities. But when it comes to something like Tiger Day or Tank Fest, there are only so many times you can watch Tiger 131 drive in a circle around the arena before you start thinking, well, I've seen this before. It's awesome the first time you see it. It's pretty great the second time you see it. It's not bad the third time you see it, but the fourth time you see it, you start to appreciate the problem that the Tank Museum have, despite the fact that they've got all these amazing, unique vehicles. You can't overdo it. This is the problem they have with Tiger 131. It's a unique machine. It's the only working Tiger tank in the world. But it's a very delicate and very old machine, and it requires a lot of maintenance. So you want to show it off, but you don't want to show it off too much, because then people get bored with it and it breaks down, and then you can't show it off anymore. So it's an interesting problem to have. Then again, maybe I'm just easy to please, because what really made it for me at Tiger Day this year was the fact that they had a working chieftain. Yeah, I know. One that drove half a mile and didn't break down. It was... I have never seen a working chieftain before. I've seen all kinds of chieftains just, sitting outside the gates of army bases, but I've never actually seen one moving under its own power. And this one managed to drive at least half a mile and didn't break down once. Perhaps it wasn't a real chieftain. Maybe they've changed the engine out for something that actually works. Surprising, I know. I mean, I'm British. Surely you've seen loads of Centurions and Chieftains and Challengers. Yeah, I have, but I've never seen a Chieftain actually driving around anywhere. So that actually made me very happy, and that, rather than Tiger 131 itself, was the high point for my day at Tiger Day. I finally got to see a Chieftain moving, not on the back of a tank transporter. Which is kind of ironic, because when the first Chieftains were being delivered to their army depots, the engine was so criminally underpowered they didn't even have the power to get onto the back of the tank transporters, so, let alone drive to the depots themselves. So, there's one ticked off on my bucket list. Thank you, Tiger Day. I've finally gotten to see a working chieftain. Of course, we also had a 2-hour meet and greet first thing in the morning on Saturday between 9 and 11. The Tank Museum set aside one of the conference rooms inside the museum, a place called the Sherman Suite, and a bunch of you queued up to say hello. I really hope, it was worth the wait. The first person in the queue was from the Netherlands, and people from the Netherlands always seem to bring me stroopwafels. They're a fantastic sort of cinnamony, syrupy, pressed biscuit type thing. I've never seen them anywhere other than in the Netherlands. But nobody brought me any stroopwafels this year. Instead, I don't know what the hell they were, but I had one with my coffee this morning and it was absolutely delicious. It's kind of a cinnamon bun, baked. It's not bready, it's more biscuity, but kind of bun shaped, and it's filled with a sort of what's the right word? It's a sort of icing. I don't know. Anyway, it was bloody lovely. So, a packet of those somebody gifted me. There was someone from Romania who brought a whole bunch of stuff, including a Romanian Submariners badge, all kinds of salt mine badges. Seriously, they apparently have working salt mines, or used to, in Romania. People came from as far away as Canada, Austria, Italy, obviously Romania, the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden. It was really nice to meet people, and it's a lot easier for me meeting people at Tiger Day than at something like Tankfest. I think there were 4,500 people at Tiger Day. You go to Tankfest and it's 10,000 every day of Tankfest. That's a lot of people. They're not doing that this year though. They realised that having 10,000 people crammed in at the Tank Museum on the Friday and Saturday of Tankfest is just too much, and it was too much last year. I don't know how you lot felt about it if you went to Tankfest last year, but just trying to walk from the museum through to the Vehicle Conservation Centre where Wargaming had their display on, it was like being packed into a sardine can. Just even in the open, you were jammed in shoulder to shoulder. Too many people. So what they're doing this year is they're having fewer people on each day. I think they're capping it at a maximum of 9,000. And if you're thinking of coming to Tankfest this year, it's advanced ticket sales only. You can't just turn up on the day and buy a ticket. You have to book your ticket in advance. And if you're travelling, I recommend you start looking for accommodation now. But they're capping it at, I think, 9,000 per day on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So this year Tankfest will be running for 3 days for the first time. So there'll be more people able to get in overall, but it won't be as crowded on each day, which I think is a fantastic idea. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be doing all 3 days. It really is exhausting. But I'll almost certainly be there for the Saturday and the Sunday. And we will be doing the meet and greet both days. But I want to make sure that I see some of the guest armour that's appearing at Tankfest this year, because there was a T-72 on display in the arena last year, which I never got the chance to see. And this year, as well as the IS-3, they've also got a working Stug 3 and a working Marder tank destroyer. And I've never seen either of those driving around under their own power before either. I mean, they have a Stug 3 at the Tank Museum, but it's a Finnish Stug 3. It's got Finnish markings. The Finns added extra armour to the front by covering it in cement. But there's no actual German Stug 3 at the Tank Museum. Well, there's going to be one at Tankfest this year. And I know a lot of people think that they've seen proper, restored, working Stug 3s, but you probably haven't. Well, then again, it depends where you come from. I know that some of the former Axis countries, like Romania, inherited a bunch and didn't get them all destroyed by the end of the Second World War. So, if you come from certain Eastern European countries and you've seen a Stug 3 at a tank show, there's a fairly reasonable chance that it may actually be the real thing. But most people, when you see a Stug driving around, it's not a proper Stug. They're reproductions, usually made from FE432 armoured personnel carriers, which apparently make very, very good Stugs. A lot of the reproduction Panzer 3s that you see driving around at tank shows aren't original Panzer 3s. They're made from FE432s. They're very, very good reproductions, but they're not the real thing. So most of the ones that you've probably seen driving around are these reproductions. Well, the one that they're having at Tankfest this year is apparently a proper, restored, authentic World War II German Stug 3. as well as the modder. I have no idea where the modders come from. I haven't actually done any research on it. And also, of course, they've got an IS3 at Tankfest this year as well. So, yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Probably, well, I'm certainly not going to be doing all 3 days, but I will be there for the Saturday and the Sunday. So, Tankfest 2018. It's on the weekend, it's the last weekend in June this year, the 29th of June to the 1st of July. 1st of July. That's my mother's birthday. It's also Rita's birthday. Shit. My mother's going to kill me. Okay, well, yeah, whatever. First world problems. I'm sure I'll manage to find a way to deconflict. So anyway, that's Tankfest this year. I'm definitely going, and hopefully I'll be seeing a lot of you there as well. It's been a pretty good week for games as well. Well, it depends on, what you like. Anybody see the Casual Saturday video I put up? Played Frostpunk. Absolutely terrible playthrough. It's not that difficult to complete the main scenario in Frostpunk, but it's a question of how well you do it. The video that I put up on Saturday, I went down the road of a dictatorship, and I managed to survive the final storm with just around about 300 citizens still alive. I lost about 100 to the storm. A bunch of people died in riots. I had to force them back into the coal mines to get fuel for the generator to keep, the city going at gunpoint on more than one occasion. I was not a popular leader, but we did it. But we only did it with a couple of hundred citizens left alive. I had to turn away all kinds of refugees and basically force them out into the wilderness to die in the freezing wasteland. But I did it again almost immediately afterwards. And I managed to, once again, complete the main scenario, although this time, with around about 750 people still alive. I didn't turn away any refugees. Nobody lost hope. And the only people that died during the final storm were volunteers. I didn't have to force anybody into the mines at gunpoint, but 30 people volunteered to go into the mines and prop up the lower mine shafts so that the generator would continue working. And it judges you. That's the thing about Frostpunk. Regardless of how you achieve the main storyline campaign, once it's done, it judges you based on what you did and how you got there. And whether or not you cross the line. And there are 2 different ways of doing it. You can choose to go down the path of order or the path of spirituality. But either one can lead to a dictatorship. It's just a question of how far you're willing to go to survive. The trick, by the way, build more than one workshop at the beginning of the game. It's not quite as simple as that, but having 2, 3, or if you can afford it, 4 workshops does make things a lot easier. Incidentally, a number of people were saying, what is that it? It's like 4 hours of gameplay and you're done. Yeah, for the main campaign. But progressing through the main campaign will unlock a different scenario for you to play. And progressing through that scenario will unlock a different scenario for you to play. So I've done the first 2. I haven't done the third one yet. Limited replayability. You can probably replay it a few times and then try a different scenario, replay that a few times until you've mastered it. Third scenario, but after that, yeah. Until they release new scenarios, of course. But the other game that I've been playing, Battletech. Anybody been playing Battletech? Always been a fairly big fan of the Battletech series. I played the Mechwarrior games back on PC in the 90s. They were fantastic, especially Mechwarrior 2, which was just amazing. I still have fond memories of it to this day. Mechwarrior Online, yeah, not so much. I mean, it was alright, but it never really grabbed me. It was just, well, I had 2 main problems with Mechwarrior Online. One problem that arose when you were actually piloting your mech, and the other one when you weren't piloting your mech. The mech bay, where you tinkered around with the loadout of the mech, was just too complicated. Nobody has time to learn how to set your mech up. In the new Battletech game, it's nice and simple and straightforward. I don't know why they couldn't make it as accessible in Mechwarrior Online, but it was just too complicated. So I always went into battle with the standard mech loadout, and, you know, for that, amongst other reasons, not least because of which I'm shit, I would get my ass handed to me. But another reason why I would get my ass handed to me was to do with what would happen in Mechwarrior Online if 2 or more enemy mechs were shooting at you with rapid-firing weapons. Anybody play War Thunder Tanks? Or even if you don't, have you seen videos of War Thunder Tanks where, for example, somebody's spotted an enemy tank and they've taken a shot, but it hasn't knocked that enemy tank out? And so they immediately start hosing that tank down with machine gun fire from the coaxial machine gun, the commander's machine gun, the hull-mounted machine gun, whatever they've got. They just start lighting the tank up with all of their machine guns. They're not going to penetrate that tank's armor with their machine guns, because it's a tank. But the driver of that other tank, that player, is going to find it extremely difficult to see who's shooting at him because of all the crap on screen caused by the machine gun bullet impacts. And you got that situation in Mechwarrior Online as well. If you had more than 2 people shooting at you, or even if you had 2 people shooting at you if they were firing rapid fire weapons, you just couldn't see what was going on. You didn't know where you were getting shot from. You couldn't even see what was around you anymore, so you didn't, other than just backing up while getting shot at, you couldn't really see where you were going or who was attacking you. And I found that immensely frustrating. And I appreciate that a lot of people like Mechwarrior Online, but I don't count myself among them. Battletech, on the other hand, setting up your various different mechs couldn't be any more simple or straightforward. But the thing that I really like about Battletech, aside from the fact that it's Battletech, is that, well, whenever I start to get a bit tired of doing YouTube videos every day and I decide, okay, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to take a week off, a couple of days off, whatever, I always seem to end up playing the same bloody games. I mean, I play World of Warships nearly every day, but I can't play World of Warships for more than 2.5, 3 hours before I really start getting bored and frustrated with it. I still keep coming back because I like the game, but well, you know what it's like when you're playing a wargaming product. Right, the teams can start to get on top of you after a while. I've been playing World of Warcraft, 13 or 14 years now. And that's one of the games that I, you know, whenever I have a couple of hours and nothing to do, I'll flash up World of Warcraft and I'll just go through daily missions and stuff like that. But it can get kind of repetitive. Now, there's a new expansion coming out for World of Warcraft in August, but that's in August, you know, it's months away. And I've been finding myself getting kind of bored lately because I'm just playing the same games all the time. Which is why I started playing Frostpunk. Unfortunately, the replayability value of Frostpunk, while it is an amazing game, yeah, it's not the kind of game you can play for weeks and weeks and weeks. Battletech, on the other hand, is. Right now, I've just checked my progress on Steam. And since coming back from Tiger Day, Saturday night, so Saturday night and throughout the day on Sunday, I put 14 hours. Some say I have an addictive personality. I've put 14 hours into Battletech. Not gotten bored with it, and I've barely scratched the surface of the campaign. Naturally, playing it through for the first time, I've made mistakes. There are things that I've done that I could have done much more efficiently. Places where I've gotten unlucky, places where I've gotten lucky. It has replayability, but first you have to actually play through it. And I've put 14 hours into it, and I've probably only done about 10% of the campaign. Totally worth the money, and exactly the kind of game that I've been looking for. Let me just have a quick look at my Steam library. What do I actually have installed at the moment? Dying Light? These are the kind of games that I've been trying out, just in an effort to find something that I find interesting enough to keep me occupied when I'm not putting videos up all the time. Dying Light, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's not a bad game at all. It's a first-person perspective sort of zombie survival parkour shooting sim. You get dropped into a city that's been overrun by zombies. Because reasons. And rather than running around beating up all the zombies and finding inventive ways to kill them, as in Dead Island, for example, you kind of have to try to stay off the streets. So you're running and jumping from rooftop to rooftop, hence the parkour simulator sort of thing. It's not a bad game, but it never really grabbed my imagination. So, yeah, it's not bad, and I'll probably go back and play it for a few hours every week or so, but meh. What else have I tried recently? Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's an open world role-playing game. Third person perspective, set in medieval Bohemia, with the heavy emphasis on historical authenticity. So, ticks all of the right boxes for me. Unfortunately, it's bugged to death. I started playing it right after it came out, and I couldn't get sound to work. There have been a couple of patches in the time since it was released, where they've basically been concentrating on fixing bugs, and it does look like a very good game. So I will probably get back to that at some point and really enjoy it. But for the moment, I've been doing other things. What else have we got? Frostpunk, yeah, great game, but there's a limit to how much you can play that. The Long Dark, great game. It's a survival game. Kind of slow. Might be the sort of thing I could live stream. But it can get a bit boring after a while. Although it's one of those games that you keep coming back to just to get a little bit further. What else do we have? Railway Empire. A little bit out of my comfort zone. Not the sort of game you might imagine me playing. And it is a very good game, but I kind of have the same problem with Railway Empire that I have with games like Roller Coaster Tycoon and Civilization. Fantastic games. But once you've done it, there's not a huge amount of reason to go back and do it again. I mean, I do go back and replay games like Master of Orion and Civilization, but they're not really the kind of games you can play all day, every day, because you've already done it. So I tend to leave a bit of a gap. I mean, I'll go back and I'll play Master of Orion. I'll go back and I'll play Civilization. I'll go back and I'll play Railroad Tycoon. But once I've completed the game, it's a couple of months before I'll go back and play it again. They're just that kind of game. Games like Surviving Mars. Another game that a lot of people recommended I should play. And Surviving Mars isn't bad. In fact, it's pretty good. But the thing I find about Surviving Mars, and I apologise if you haven't actually played this game or heard of it or have no idea what I'm talking about, but the basic idea is you're founding a colony on Mars and you have to try to, make a viable colony. It's pretty interesting at first, but once you've gotten through most of the major challenges, once you're a good couple of hours into a playthrough, and your colony is mostly self-sufficient, you spend a lot of time just sitting there on fast forward, waiting for things to happen. So that got kind of boring pretty quick as well. And that's pretty much it. I keep going through games on Steam. I think, that looks quite interesting, and I'll download it and install it, and I'll play it for a day, and then realise that it's not actually that interesting after all. So I was very, very happy to find something like Battletech, which has captured my imagination and my interest, and it doesn't look like I'm going to run out of game anytime soon. I'm going to be able to keep playing it for a good long time. So hooray for Battletech. Anybody else playing it, by the way? Anybody else enjoying it? Oh, I mentioned bugs, didn't I? Yeah. Oh god. Escort missions in Battletech. God. I'm playing one mission where my mercenaries had been hired to defend a VIP, a planetary governor. So there's a city which we had to defend, and there were a bunch of weapon towers erected outside the city, but they were non-operational, and there were a bunch of engineers outside the city boundaries in armoured personnel carriers. So we had to make sure that the APCs containing the engineers made it into the city so that they could activate the turret defence systems, which would help us repel all of the enemy mechs and vehicles that were attacking and trying to kill the governor. So the mission starts, and I see the two armoured personnel carriers that contain the engineers that we need. Well, that's the thing. You didn't need them, Right? You could lose the engineers, and then it would just be a harder battle because you wouldn't have the turret defences to help you. But I was determined, because I'm a completionist, to try to do it properly. So I marched my mechs over to give some covering fire to these engineers as enemy mechs appeared on the far side of the lake and started firing long-range missiles and large lasers at these armoured personnel carriers. And they looked like they were going to make it. We were shooting down the light mechs that were charging through the lake to try to get close enough to take these APCs out. And just as the APCs were about to make it into the city, the AI suddenly decided that what the APCs should do, as they were being chased up this road by enemy mechs, was stop, turn around, right at the city gates, and then drive straight back towards the mechs that were charging after them to kill them. So like I said, Battletech, great game, not without a few AI bugs, however. Although that hasn't stopped me sinking 14 hours into it in 2 days. And in fact, right after I've done this episode of Mingles with Jingles, I'm probably going to go right back to it, because it's starting to get really, really good. It's just that kind of game. Your mileage, of course, may vary. And that's pretty much what I've been up to this week. I played Frostpunk all day on Thursday last week. Actually, there's a reason why I played Frostpunk all day on Thursday, and it's actually quite amusing. Because I'm crap. Okay, quick story time. So, last week, I knew that I had Tiger Day on Saturday, and I knew I was going down to the Tank Museum first thing on Friday in order to book in a bed and breakfast in Wareham, and then go straight to the Tank Museum on Friday when it was going to be quiet, so I could do some filming in the Vehicle Conservation Centre and the display halls and the exhibitions in the museum itself, when there weren't going to be that many people around. So I knew I was going to have to do videos in advance for Friday and Saturday. So a couple of days last week, instead of doing one video every day, I did 2 videos every day and pre-uploaded stuff to cover Friday and Saturday. But for some reason, on Wednesday last week, I got it into my head that it was actually Thursday. So I'm in this mad panic, trying to get gameplay of Frostpunk, as well as, other videos, in order to turn into the casual Saturday video and the video that was going up on Friday. And I ended up staying up until 2 in the morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, rendering and uploading videos, and then panicking, thinking, oh no, I have to be up early, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm hardly going to have any sleep, I'm going to be tired all day, I've got to go to the Tank Museum in the morning, what am I do? And it wasn't until I actually woke up on Thursday morning and realised it was Thursday morning, not Friday morning. And I've done all of that work for nothing. Well, not for nothing, but I didn't need to be in a mad rush. That I realised, well, actually, hang on. If I did all of this on Wednesday, that means I don't have to do anything on Thursday. So I had the entire day off on Thursday before going to the Tank Museum on Friday. So I woke up on Thursday realising it's not actually Friday, and spent the whole day playing Frostpunk. And got a much, much better result than what you saw in Saturday's Casual Saturday. Friday, Tank Museum. Saturday, Tiger Day at the Tank Museum. Home Saturday evening, spent the entire night playing Battletech. Got up on Sunday, played a few hours of World of Warships Operations with the guys from the Philo clan. They were streaming on Twitch. And then as soon as I finished that, more Battletech, until I eventually realised, crap, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, Jingles, you need to stop playing Battletech and do this episode of Mingles with Jingles. And pretty much all I've talked about in this episode of Mingles with Jingles is Battletech. That's just how addicted I am to this game. I'm not entirely sure whether or not I can do a YouTube video series of it. Then again, I managed to do a 36-minute video of Frostpunk. I don't know how it's possible to make, because Frostpunk, a video of Frostpunk, it's a great game, okay? It's an amazing game. But how do you make it an interesting video to watch? Because all you're basically looking at is this steam generator, and occasionally buildings sprout up around it. And then time elapses, and then some more buildings sprout up around it. That's literally all you are looking at if you're watching a video of Frostpunk on YouTube. So making an interesting 36-minute long Frostpunk video, that was some challenge, believe me. Okay. I had to go full on evil gnome overlord for that video to make it worth watching. Who knows, maybe I succeeded. The video seems to be doing quite well. 72,000 views for a video that isn't World of Warships or World of Tanks, or Cold Waters for that matter. So yeah, I think mission accomplished as far as that one's concerned. But that's pretty much what I've been up to this week. And that's it for this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.